Okay, I'm adding this as an addendum of how to use this study guide
Okay.
because, well, again, everything you need is here. But the goal of this study guide, first of all, you make a copy of this document so that it is your own.
I have that. I did that already.
Perfect. And then when you get to the document, you'll see that it's broken out in exam sections.
Correct.
So I want you to take, so this is what I haven't done is Salesforce Platform Basics. Salesforce Platform Basics, here's what I haven't done is I haven't, so Salesforce Platform Basics should be the first trail anybody completes,
Salesforce. Okay, so Salesforce Platform Basics. Okay.
right? Because that's the
First
first
one,
one in the trail
Salesforce.
mix
Okay.
that Salesforce says, if you're learning Salesforce as an admin, this is just the trail mix, by the way. I just captured the trail mix in a single document because here's what happens, right? You watching my screen right now? So
Yes, I can
here's
see
what happened.
everything.
Yeah, I got it. So they say if you're going to become a Salesforce administrator, follow all of these trails. When you complete them, you'll be ready to take the test. And they're accurate. Do you need to complete all of these to pass the exam? Not at all. But if you complete all of them, you'll have way more information than you need to pass the exam, which is good and bad because it's a lot of information. All right. But
Hmm.
the reason I like it is because this configuration and setup is one. This represents 12 to 13 questions on your exam because 20% of 65 is 13, right? This is 12 to 13 questions out of 65 are going to be on the exam from this section. So here's how I recommend you work the study. It's configuration and setup. And this is what I'm putting in there. Watch this. I'm inserting another column. So based upon it's the exam section, this is what the next thing I want to put in there is. And I'm doing it right now. We're on the phone while we're on the call. So Salesforce, so this is what they're testing you on the exam.
Hmm.
This is what's in the cheat sheet, which is just a separate document that allows you to take what you know. So what I would recommend is that in your guide, as you complete each section. So here's the first one, right? I'm in Salesforce Platform Basics. I'm in the first section of the first trail of your first trail mix, right? Underneath what I've put
Hmm.
in the guide is every learning objective from each module. Describe the Salesforce platform. You should be able to describe the Salesforce platform. I can't describe the Salesforce
Okay.
platform. Then you open up that module and define the Salesforce platform is going to be the first thing they talk about. This is a great place to learn some basics. You'll learn the fundamental terms, concepts, and capabilities of sales, even get hands-on practice. Let's go. You might think sales just CRM software stores your customer data. And what I recommend is after you read, right, because the second learning objective describe the dream house scenario. Well, that's going to be that's dream house realty. So you should be able to summarize everything that's here, right, into
Hmm.
one or two sentences.
Gotcha.
If you could put that in your study guide, describe. that and just say, this is your study guide. Oh, it's a data platform that helps businesses. What do they do? Let's see what they say. Now, look, my ChatGPT students, my students love ChatGPT. So watch, I'm going to tell my students, right? If you're having trouble with it, right? Uh, you could just say, if you're really having trouble with it, if you don't want to be really a shortcut knucklehead, you could take all this, go to ChatGPT and say, summarize this in 1 to 2. It's a comprehensive platform that helps businesses manage sales, service, marketing, and productivity through features like leads, cases, marketing, blah, blah, blah. They have and I would take that ChatGPT. See, does that make sense? Let me think about it. Like, honestly, I just watched a guy 2 nights ago, and I'm going to post this video from YouTube about how to read so that you retain the information. I honestly think you shouldn't use ChatGPT, but if that's what it takes, but really understand what it's saying. The platform, right? A data will help businesses organize and understand the data from all parts of the company. Right? I mean, maybe that's it. Like, you get it. It
Right.
translates different jobs into data so that people can communicate without interrupting you and asking you to tell them what's going on. It's
Right.
a, it's a, it's a, to me, it's a scalable communication tool that leverages data. That's what it is to me. But, and then every little section describe those things. And you're going to create a guide that's going to help you understand each and every one of these things for yourself. Make sense?
Correct.
Then what I would do after you complete that little exercise for every learning objective, then I would open up the cheat sheet, which is nothing more. By the way, there's the get started with Trailhead. That like if you don't know Trailhead, this would have been the one to start with in the study guide. That's okay. So then I would open up the cheat sheet, which is nothing more than a blank version of the exam objectives, where describe the information found in the company site, and enter what you remember from the study guide, from doing that section, right? And
Right.
then go back to your study guide and see what you missed, and then enter it in the cheat sheet. Now
Okay.
you've got a reference. And then that I would run through ChatGPT and compare to see if ChatGPT notices anything you missed and enter that into your cheat sheet. Now you have a condensed version of the study guide, which is a condensed version of the interwebs called Trailhead. Make sense? You're
Yes.
drinking the concentrate each time. And then at any time you go back, and then when you're ready to review, you're reading all the things that you summarized based on all the things that you understood. So that should make your study and review time much faster and easier. And oh, by the way, if there's something you don't understand, like explain the various organization security controls. I don't remember what setup audit trail is. Well, then go back to your study guide, do a control F, setup. Oh, setup audit trail is here. So it's got to be in one of these trails that I did. So maybe I already pulled it out of my notes and it's already in my notes of it. It's not in any of the learning objectives, but it's in that section. But at least you know
Okay.
where to go back to source and then
Okay.
stick it. Once you find out that um, once you find out it's, let's see, it's going to be a customizing org, I bet. Da-da-da-da. Modify your data model. I'm curious, it might be in here. Nope. It's going to be somewhere in the trail, right? But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. if uh, you at least can target like where, like every term in the exam objective, you ought to be able to, right? Set up audit trail, login hours, session settings. You ought to read this first before you even enter into the first trail. Why? Because this tunes your radar into what all the trails in this section are going to be teaching you.
Okay.
So you ought to be looking for sure, if they say explain various organization security controls and they're giving you the example, I promise you these are going to be on the test
Okay.
because they gave them to you as an example. Why would they not be on
Exactly.
the test? But now, here's the tricky
Right.
part. That ain't tricky, but it's how they do it. Wherever you find security controls, everything else they didn't mention will be on the test too.
Okay.
Wherever's around this area, they're going to test all of that. That's how they do it. And one of the things I just realized going through, one of my students said, they said pick two answers, but I believe only one of the answers was right. And I said, well, hey, when I looked at the question, I'm like, yeah, they know you picked the right answer, but they don't know of the other three if you know why the other two are wrong. So they threw in a less known, understood right answer so that they know you know the other two wrong answers are wrong. That's why you don't
Okay.
get credit for, that's why you don't get partial credit for right answers in Salesforce, because they're really testing that you know the answers you didn't pick as much as you know the answers you did pick. Because dumb luck will
Right.
get you the right answers, right? That's just
Right.
luck. But that's why I say when we finally get to the practice exam, when you take my practice exam, which is a curated test of all the Salesforce tests, and I'm not guaranteeing they're right. I'm not saying all the right answers I say are right. It doesn't matter what the right and wrong answer is. It matters that you know every answer that's right and why it's right, and every answer that's wrong and why it's wrong, because you understand Salesforce and you've tested the answers. Because
Gotcha.
memorizing the answers only proves you're a D student in Salesforce,
Mm.
that you can memorize answers. Who cares? I don't want somebody who knows, who memorized answers from a test to work on my Salesforce. I want somebody who understands Salesforce to work on my Salesforce, right? So
Mm.
anyway, does that make sense on how to use this?
Yes.
Little by little, section by section, if you take the time to update this document and make it your own, then it'll become the source to 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 I got to take this out because this is my source document, right? Then it'll become the source document for your study guide that'll have all the elements that you already understood and remember. And the whole point of this is to put down what you remember, then go check to see if you missed anything.
Right.
Because if, and that's objective by objective. Because if you understand where to find it in that whole section of trails, now you're mastering that section, right? Now you're mastering this whole section of trailhead trails so that you don't have to worry about, like, okay, I got this, right? I
Okay.
understand everything they're trying to tell me. I understand because I read it, I thought about it, and I had to summarize it and under each learning objective. So you're taking the learning objective and explaining how you know it and adding, by the way, adding as much detail as you can. For anything that's
Okay.
unfamiliar, by the way, oh, by the way, so if they ever put something like this, a custom field label and name must be unique by the object, if they put it in yellow, if they say this is
Yes.
important, if they say watch out for this, warning,
Hmm.
Will Robbins, guess what they're telling you?
Make sure you write
That
that
it's
down.
important that you understand it
Exactly.
and remember it, because these are the guys that wrote the test.
Okay.
This is the source people who wrote the test. And if you've been in college and the teacher says this will be on the test, you'll watch every student write down what they're saying.
Exactly.
They don't miss that one, right?
This is true.
So the point is, like, that's what you have to learn to pay attention to. And these step-by-step processes are designed to put you in the system so that you not only see how to do this thing step by step, but when you go back to practice these exercises, this is what I tell all my students that take the full Salesforce $5,000 class, is that the purpose of the exercises is not to have you follow the exercise step by step. It's to bring you to the neighborhood and check out the neighbors, because they can't, in the class and every exercise, we can't have you do an exercise for everything there's to do with Salesforce. That would take 10 years, right? It takes people sometimes let's say it takes 5 years, you're fast. I've been at it 10 years and I haven't tested everything in Salesforce. I don't have an interest to, but if I did, I know only one person who has, and that's David Nava, who's completed every single trail on Trailhead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during this section, if they take you through an exercise and they say enter support processes in the system, maybe just enter processes so you can see the other two processes that exist, right? So expand your view a little. Once you're comfortable with the exercise, don't assume you know it. Assume you now know the neighborhood, that you now can check out a little bit more around the edges of what they asked you to do, so you kind
Mm-hmm.
of understand the context of where they brought you. Because if you understand
Okay.
that, now you're deepening and preparing yourself not only for the exam, but you're preparing yourself for the next exam and the next exam, because you're actually learning all the things in Salesforce, right? Because
Right.
truly, the way to do Salesforce is there's no let's see. So when I'm launching Salesforce, come on, is that really true? I only got one. I guess that one's dead. Let me see if my other one. Look, wow, internet's moving fast today for a change. Oh, something's going on with the orgs. Um, so the point is, when you log into Salesforce, the idea is to know everything that happens under the setup menu. The process for that's going to take 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So we want to focus our attention on each step of the process. That's what this is all about. Each one, we're going to focus on that.
Okay.
So I'm going to update, because you're awesome, and I'm going to update uh, this prepare your Salesforce for users. So I'm going to actually create, this is one of my little uh, examples. So I'm going to go here first, and which one is this? Data modeling. So now when I go to data modeling, so data modeling is the next one, right? That's a big. So anyway, I'm gonna in the order in which they happen is what I'm gonna try to give a step-by-step order of all of these. This is what I'm gonna need help with later on to do. I have this for 18 different documents, right? I got 18 documents. So I got
Mm-hmm.
to go through the trails and label them so that they're in the kind of the Dewey Decimal System, right? This is
Gotcha.
this is the ninth step of the first section of the first exam. So we got Dewey Decimal going on here, right? 1119, or government stuff. So not for you to worry about. That's for me to worry about. For you, just worry about completing platform basics, and then again, take the document and fill in all these little learning objectives with a summary
Mm-hmm.
statement that explains what you know about it. Because whatever that is what you're going to put in your cheat sheet, or even right from memory first, and then go back and check all your summaries, what you put in, and then you got to go back to the trails if there's something you missed, and anything. And so
Okay.
you're constantly concentrating your information to you now. That, and then when you're complete with that, now you can forget all about section one, configuration and setup, and then move on to object manager and lightning app builder, and then move on
Okay.
to sales and marketing applications. Again, there's so much more to know than what these 6 or 7 questions are going to be. But
Mm-hmm.
as long as you understand what they're telling you in those trails and you have a good summary knowledge of it, you'll be fine. Because
Okay.
understanding drives the show, because identifying and then getting your hands on it in the system. Because if you do it all head
Correct.
work, if you do all head work, it doesn't stick.
Right.
You got to do finger memory. These are your memory sticks.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
it. And then when you get stuck, just schedule a one-on-one or post it in the community and in our community, if you'll post it in the community and like for you uh in our community, it's in your basically uncertified is for all certification instructions, and just put the links of what you're working on, like in the trailhead. He's like, I'm struggling with, I don't get how to create record types in this trail. You just pop that in the chat, and everybody in the world can go to the same page and look at what you're looking at. Make sense?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? What I say. So
It does. It
if
absolutely
you
does make sense. Yeah,
so
that's very
anytime you have a
beneficial.
question, always bring that to the uncertified um, post. Like create a post and tag it uncertified if you're working on certification stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. And then just tag the trail
Okay.
that you're struggling with, because that way people can go to where you're at and easily figure out where you're having trouble. Kind of, cut and paste the things you're struggling with.
Okay.
And then
I
that
love
should
it.
work fantastically.
Okay.
So good. Anything else about that? Does that help?
That was very beneficial. I needed that.
But
Thank you.
by the way, here's what you did great, Iris. You got stuck. You reached out for help, which is the way we get help and we get things done in Salesforce. You're actually practicing architect behavior right now, consultant behavior, e-
Okay.
educator behavior. You're because nobody doesn't get stuck in Salesforce. Everybody gets stuck at some point in Salesforce. Everybody's
Okay.
got an edge where they get stuck. So learning how to get unstuck, learning how to reach out, learning how to ask for help are all reasons why the ACE program is designed the way it is, to get you out into the community. Remember that I talked about the answer section? Like to get out
Yes.
in the community and start reading questions and answers that people are asking, and look at what better
Okay.
answers are and what better questions are. Because the better
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to ask questions, the better answers you're going to get. And
Okay.
again, this is sort of like when you have, after you're done through your trails, after you're done getting certified, whatever, go here later, right? And start to develop your skills in areas that you want to master after you get through the studying part, right? So you stay a student right now, you're fine. Um, and then as you move through a section or two, as you move through this guide, then you can go to the community and start to deepen your knowledge and skills. That when you start your consultant training, I'll have you go to answers. Right now, I just want you to stick to the trails. Stick
Okay.
to the
Will do.
trails and just keep trying to do more Salesforce in a regular basis. That helps you do it. And then um, yeah, that's it. So you're doing great.
Okay. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you letting me know which one to start with because it's always, there was so much information.
So
And
much.
even though it tells you this is 1.0, 1.1.2, 1.3,
Right,
it
right.
tells you all of that. But it's still, it's good to know that um, Salesforce Platform Basics that's the first one that you should be working on. Because, when you open up the study guide that you sent us and you open it up, the first one is configuration. That's what it says first. It says configuration 1.0. So, I'm assuming that everything that we need is under 1.0. And
It
it
is.
is. It
It is.
tells you Salesforce Platform Basics.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's all there. And I'm glad I'm following along. I knew that everything was going to be concise. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. That's all. And making sure that I did log on and sign in
You're doing great.
for Trailhead. Um, and I just wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing. That's all. So thank you.
Oh, good. You're doing great, by the way. And like I said, there's more information than you need. in the trails themselves, but I can't
Mhm.
decide what you understand already and need more help with. But I guarantee you, when you finish everything, what we do at the academy is once you finish this trail mix, just
Mhm.
come to me and I will schedule. That's what I'm going to get set up in the school platform. Is like in this exam, I got to figure out how to do this right, but in this exam, there's the study guide. Did I put the study guide in yet? Not yet. No. I gotta build this out. Um, uh, this is the admin study guide, and then I'll have I'll add videos here, and then the learning labs as we do our recorded learning labs, they'll go here. This will be the
Mhm.
first learning lab that I record that I'm going to put in.
Okay.
This is our one-on-one learning lab, but it's going to help everybody get started. Um,
Okay.
and then there'll be the ability to take a practice test. So once you're finished with the study guide, or mostly finished, like ready, right? Then there'll be a practice test. Um, and that's a great way to get started. So I would plan, like if you're full time, I would plan to get through this by the end of the week,
Okay.
right? Just keep cranking it out, take breaks, get hydrated, rest. Like if you don't do like just find out where your limits are.
Okay.
Cool. Um,
Sounds good.
yeah,
I really appreciate you taking the time to help me with this, Dominic.
you got it. You got it. Um, let's see. No, I appreciate you doing it because I think it helps shore up the instruction that I had early in the document as well. Because it's evolving, right? I need your feedback, your questions to help me evolve this study guide to the next level, right? And this little
Yes.
video will be in here, like next level learning. But like this is my study method that I used. And but remember, reread, revisit, rewrite, and and um, I think it'll help you get just again complete trails with the goal of understanding the feature, what it is, where to find it, where to use it, and what's the impact of using that feature. That's going to be every feature in Salesforce. All questions going to be related to those basic things. What it is, where do you find it, where do you use it, what's the impact, pros and cons, you have to know like that's what they really want people to know about Salesforce. It's not everything is
Okay.
straightforward. Like it's not always if this then that. It's if maybe or if the other. It's always if that and the if this that and the other. So awesome, Iris. Anything else?
No, that was it that I can think
Keep
of. You answered my other questions, so I appreciate that.
good. Keep it going, and I'll uh yeah we'll keep it going.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you on the trails. I'll see you tomorrow in the live session, and then I'm
I'll
going to
see you
start
tomorrow.
rescheduling. All right. Excellent. Bye bye.
Absolutely.
Bye
Bye
bye.
now.